Welcome to Good Luck High Five episode 501.
That's right. It's a show about Magic the Gathering.
Did you almost forget what our show is
I
about?
almost forgot what our show is about.
I mean, it's 501.
Yeah, exactly. I still just need a little bit more practice. I just need a little bit more practice to get it down.
Yeah.
Sometime in the future. But whether you're super excited for Dominaria United or maybe you're eyeing some new commander decks, we are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's show, it's everybody's favorite. Judge Rob is going to be here to go through all the tricky new cards and mechanics from Dominaria United.
That's right. Get ready for your pre-release or any other paper Dominaria United event you might be playing with all of Judge Rob's wonderful judgely insight into what these mechanics do and some tricky card interactions.
We always say, we go into these episodes thinking we know it all. We've been playing Magic for a decade now.
You don't know anything, you fools.
But every time Judge Rob says something that I'm like, I would have played that card wrong.
Yep, we always learn something.
So,
literally always. And we hope that the same is true for you.
Yeah, even if you think you've got it on lock, I think these episodes are super helpful, especially if you're playing in person for the first time since lockdown. Arena's not going to do it for you.
Exactly. Have some confidence as you sit down at your pre-release knowing, hey, I've got a grasp on these rules.
Yeah. And just in case you're wondering, if you want to play on Arena, once again, that is happening before the pre-release. The Arena release is before that. So that's going to happen on Thursday, everybody. There's going to be a downtime, and then Dominaria United will be on Arena on Thursday. This weekend is the pre-release, and then on the 9th, next Friday, is the official release.
Ooh.
So that's how to keep it all together. And tomorrow, which is today,
for you,
we're recording this on Monday, but tomorrow, Tuesday, today, is going to be the early access event.
Yeah, we'll be streaming some Dominaria United, so make sure you check it out. But before we get started on our episode, we have some people to thank. First and foremost amongst them are you, the listeners, and especially the patrons of this show. Thank you particularly to Bennett and to Paul for being our new patrons in the past week. Bennett and Paul, we got to 500, but it's only because of you that we're getting to 501.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody who's a patron, supports this show for 500 more episodes. Patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Become our friend. Get access to our awesome Discord where you can hang out with a bunch of cool people and just know that you're supporting the content that you consume, which I don't know about you, but makes me feel really, really awesome every time that I do it.
Absolutely.
So just think about it. I want to say, too, we have notified our winner of the $500 Ultra Pro gift card.
Yeah. And the winners of the $25 Card Kingdom gift cards. Wait, $50 Card Kingdom gift cards.
Yeah, so 2 of those people got emailed, and the other people, you did not have your email listed on your YouTube account. So I've replied to your comment by saying, hey, you won. So you can go and check that out on YouTube. 3 of you won $50, and the only way you're going to know is if you go and check your replies to your comments. So go check. Go check, and then email us, glhfmagic@gmail.com, and we'll get you all set up with everything.
Thank you as well to our sponsor, Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. They've been such a wonderful sponsor to us. Like we mentioned, they gave us 5 $50 gift certificates to give away for last week's episode.
That was awesome.
Which was so wonderful of them. If you want Dominaria United the day it comes, like you want your box shipped to you the day it is available, Card Kingdom.
Yeah, you can pre-order Dominaria United on cardkingdom.com/GLHF right now, and they'll give you a sticker or a token if you say Good Luck High Five in your order for absolutely free. And if you're interested in those commander decks, those are going to be coming out soon as well. I know I am, because Ivy is one of them, the one who cares about auras and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that commander deck, obviously. So I need to get that from Card Kingdom.
We're going to have to take out a
loan.
We're going to have to take out a loan for those commander
magic
decks.
stuff.
We're going to have to take a look at those commander decks. Whoa.
Yeah, and you can get all of that over at cardkingdom.com/GLHF.
We're going to have to take out a loan.
Hey everybody, we've got Judge Rob here for the Dominaria United pre-release.
Yay!
Yay, Judge Rob is here with an epic beard, everyone.
I haven't cut it in a while. It's been a summer.
You don't want to miss this beard. Check us out on youtube.com/goodluckhighfive. If and only if for the beard. Oh, he's fluffing it for us. Thank you, Rob. Welcome. Rob's going to walk us through all the tricky cards and interactions and mechanics from Dominaria United. Everybody loves these episodes. And the way that we kick them off normally is with a PSA from you, Rob.
Yeah, I have a double PSA.
Ooh, double PSA.
My first PSA is reach out to old friends. I've had some old friends reach out to me recently. I've reached out to some. It's been great. Things have been weird. Like, everybody has weird times. Everybody's having weird times right now, I feel like. Or at least everybody in my circle is. And so it's good to have friends reach out and say, hey, I'm in town. Or, hey, I want to hang out. Just think about the people that you haven't thought about in 2 years, right? And be like, do
you want to go to a pre-release?
Do you want to go to a pre-release? Do you just want to chill? Like Magic is nice. Bring some Magic cards over and be like, hey, I have a commander deck I haven't touched since 2019. And they'll be like, cool, same. And then take the chance to renew acquaintances and friendships because it's what you got. Like everything in life is just friends and the whole purpose is people.
We're all just people in rooms trying to be happy.
Yes. Or outside of rooms sometimes. I went to a waterfall 2 weeks ago. It was nice.
Was it Minnehaha Falls?
No, we went down to Hidden Falls Park down in it's down east of
Well, you can't find it. It's hidden.
It's hidden.
Yeah, it is. It was a great time. But
so what's this double PSA?
My double PSA is standard is rotating.
Yeah.
Happens once a year for most years. Not every year, but this year it is. Yes. So after this set, a bunch of sets are leaving. The new standard will just be Innistrad, both Innistrads, Midnight Hut and Crimson Vow. It'll be Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It will be Streets of New Capenna, and it will be Dominaria United. No more Strixhaven. No more Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Bye.
Hey, get out of here. We'll miss you. But
I didn't believe you when you said that.
Goodbye.
Well, no, AFR has at least 3 cards in it.
All right.
So like.
Can you believe they printed a set with only 3 cards in it?
No, at least 3. Like,
at least
it has,
3.
Well, okay, like it has like 3 lands and a dragon, I think.
All right.
I believe
solid.
It's really what you need.
Yeah.
All right, that's good to know, everybody.
Yep.
Handy to know. You'll get your renewal egg on Arena. So why it's an egg, we don't know, but it is.
because eggs are the sign of rabbits? Wait, no, sorry.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Rabbits are the sign of standard. Exactly.
It all makes sense. We're going to start things off with mechanics from the set. Yeah. And the first thing we're going to talk about is returning mechanics.
Yep.
Specifically, the first one we're going to start off with is everyone's favorite and perhaps the only mechanic in Magic, Kicker.
It's 50% of the mechanics.
Oh, okay.
The other one is flashback?
Split cards.
Oh, split cards.
You either get a bonus thing or you choose between 2 different things.
Oh,
that's really just like
Magic.
Yeah.
Bonus thing or choose between 2 things.
Yep.
Okay.
So Kicker is a mechanic that adds an additional cost to spells. So let's look at like Tear Asunder here. Green and 1 for an instant. Kicker, black and 1. And it says you may pay an additional black and 1 as you cast the spell. You can kick things with normal Kicker just once. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If the spell was kicked, exile target non-land permanent instead.
Nice.
So what Kicker does, it's an additional cost. You can pay this additional cost anytime you cast the spell. If you pay things without paying their mana cost, you remove the normal cost and just pay the Kicker cost. And copied spells, if you copy this with something, this is copy target spell, it will copy the kickedness. So if you kicked it as a spell, it copies it being kicked.
Wow.
And if you have a permanent that you kicked, but you copy it with like a clone effect, it doesn't remember that it was kicked. It's been on the battlefield. It forgot about being a spell. Sorry.
It's had a lot happen to it between the kicking and now.
Yeah, it's been a day for that.
Between the kicking and the cloning. Gee, what a Monday.
So this can change a lot of things about the spell. Kicker can change anything. So in Tear Asunder's case, it changes what you can choose for targets. So you normally can't choose a creature. Tear Asunder, though, if you pay 4 for it, will let you kill a creature with it. Nice. So Kicker will change the things that you can target, the number of targets, stuff that happens on resolution. Sometimes if it's a creature, it'll do an ATB trigger. Sometimes it'll enter with some counters. Kicker does a lot of variety of things, which is why it's the big umbrella mechanic.
Yeah.
And so they've broken it out into 100 different things like Entwine that is just kicker.
Other kicker.
Yeah.
Other kicker.
Specialized
That's what I
kicker.
should have called it.
Specialized kicker.
Which is what the
yes.
Minnesota Vikings often need, but
Most
can't
of the time,
rely on.
Most of the time.
I will also say, between the art and the card name on this, absolutely went into this thinking it was a fight spell. Very surprised when you read it.
Yep.
It's not.
No, it's not.
You're right.
This is a
I
Doom
just
Blade.
was sitting here
Just
assuming it was.
read it, right? All right.
It's a disenchant or a Doomblade.
Yeah.
It's one of the most elegant kicker cards ever printed.
Just beware, everyone, when you
Wow,
cast
I thought it
this.
was a fight spell.
Yep.
And you even read it right next to me.
Yep. So Domain is back for the 4th time. Radha, Coalition Warlords, our Domain card. She's green-red 2 for a 3/3 legendary creature elf warrior. Domain. Whenever Radha, Coalition Warlord becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control.
Ooh,
So
fancy.
Domain's an ability word. It just means scales based on your number of basic land types. And it can do anything inside that umbrella. It might change the size of an instant or sorcery. It might do this where it changes the size of Radha's bonus. It might determine the static power of a creature. There's a domain creature with power based on the number of lands, and 2 of them in this set.
That card's good.
Yeah, both the reprint, the Nakadal, and also Morrow.
Morrow, that's what I was thinking of.
There's a double-sized Morrow who counts domain twice. Things to note: this is the 5 basic land types: plain, swamp, island, mountain, forest. This isn't other land types: Urzas, desert. Doesn't matter. Wastes. It does not have a basic land type. It is a basic land with no types.
When purple gets added as a basic land type, that will count.
If cave is added as a basic land type, yes.
Oh, that's right.
That's one of their proposals.
I was
way back in the day.
thinking really hard. I was like, what could you add for another basic land?
Yeah, they
People
propose
always
this.
joke that it's purple.
Yeah, but that would be what makes purple, because you need a type of land.
What would it be like?
Yeah.
Cave, like what? Yeah.
That was their pitch back in the day. The problem is
purple.
it screws up their balance. All these cards are balanced around the highest number being 5.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't go.
Wait,
that
when
high.
did they propose this? I didn't know about this cave
So
thing.
they proposed it originally. So Domain came from so we have a Magic set named Planar Chaos, but there was an original playtest set named Planar Chaos that was playtested around the time that Mirage was.
Okay.
And it was not made by Richard Garfield and it was not made by Wizards, but a lot of the things from it was another original Magic playtester made their own set called Planar Chaos. And a lot of the stuff from Planar Chaos made it into Invasion.
Oh, interesting.
So did that person end up working at Wizards of the Coast?
Yeah, they worked at Wizards as a designer for a while.
I see. Okay.
And so they had Barry's Land was their original playtest name for the land. And then in their playtest in Invasion, they named it Cave. And then the rules manager at the time said, this is going to cause you problems. And they said, fine. And they just didn't.
All right.
Oh,
fair enough.
Wow, the more you know.
Random deep Magic trivia. Completed is back for the 2nd time. So Ajani Sleeper Agent's the only card with completed. I am simultaneously very happy new Ajani's in the set and very unhappy that my 2 favorite planeswalkers have both been turned into Phyrexians.
I know. Ajani was so pure.
Yep.
He just wanted to use a litter box.
The only 2 competent members of the Gatewatch have been turned into Phyrexians, and I'm really angry about it, actually.
Yeah.
Everyone else just
it's a good invasion plan.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Nab the 2 that get anything done.
Yep. So Ajani here costs a white mana, a green or white Phyrexian mana, which is still one of the weirdest mana symbols, a green mana, and a 1 generic. He's a legendary planeswalker. Ajani enters with 4 loyalty, and he has completed. He says the Phyrexian symbol can be paid with either green, white, or 2 life. If life was paid for the symbol, this planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters.
And to be clear, you don't need to pay Phyrexian twice.
Yes, it's
just one time.
Yeah, it's a hybrid symbol. You can pay it for either one of the or any one of the 3 costs. That's an option: either a green mana symbol or a white mana symbol or 2 life.
Okay.
So it's very easy to pay for this symbol. Other than the fact that it's a very complicated symbol for not a lot of value. Ajani's +1 is reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library, so you can leave it on top. -3, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. The distribution happens during targeting on this, so they know which one's getting 2 and which one's getting 1 if you target 2 things. And -6 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters.
Spicy.
Wow.
Which is really underwhelming. Are you underwhelmed too?
Yeah, but it's not a big one.
I'm whelmed.
It's not a big, you know.
It's a -6. It should probably win you the game, right?
-6?
Yeah.
Well, not. I mean, he starts
I feel
at 4.
like it's not a 7.
Yeah, it's not too
or
hard
an
to
8.
get. And you know, you're gonna be casting stuff. You're gonna be
You need
dead.
to cast 5 spells to kill them because nothing else gives poison count.
No problem.
Okay,
no
fair
Right?
problem.
Kaldheim just rotated, and that was the last poison counter card. Was
Maybe there will be some poison counters in the
maybe.
future.
I mean, I would not be very surprised if there were poison
Yeah.
counters in the future.
Yeah.
So things about Ajani. He's completed. His mana value is always 4, so he can even if you pay Phyrexian for him, they can disdainful stroke him. He cares specifically if life was paid for that symbol. So there's the Defiler cycle, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that lets you pay life instead of mana symbols. If you pay for his normal green mana symbol with the Defiler effect with life, Ajani still will enter with 4 counters instead of only 1.
Because
Or
all he
only
cares
2,
about is his
sorry.
own.
Yeah, he cares about his life being
Mana
paid for
value.
his own symbol. Other things that make you pay life for him won't change the amount of loyalty that you choose life.
Gotcha.
Phasing is back.
Welcome back,
Again,
phasing.
I just like to remind in phasing, and also this card is very weird, and I wanted to call it out anyways. The phasing of Zhalfir. Blue 2. It's a saga with read ahead, which we'll talk about in the new mechanics section in a minute. At chapters 1 and 2, another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the phasing of Zhalfir. And at chapter 3, destroy all creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Phyrexian creature token.
So you phased out your big baddies and you've left your opponents to become 2/2s.
Yes, or alternately, you phased out some of their random non-land permanents because you don't care about creatures. So you could phase out enchantments
Oh, sure.
in order to clear the way for your stuff, or you could phase out your own sagas to keep them from counting up for some reason.
Oh, weird.
The thing with the phasing of Zhalfir is it phases a thing out and says it can't phase in while you control the phasing of Zhalfir. When the phasing of Zhalfir goes away, they don't immediately phase back in. They wait until the next untap step of their controller to phase in.
Because that's how phasing works.
That's how phasing normally works.
Okay.
Is during the untap step,
Yeah, that's
things phase back
not
in.
intuitive, honestly.
No, it's not. I read the card and I was like, oh, you're going to get the things back and then destroy them immediately. And then I was looking, no, you don't. You wait a while to get those back.
Hey, wait a while to get these back.
So if you phase out one of their things and one of your things, and then the phasing of Zhalfir destroys a bunch of creatures, on their turn, their thing will phase back in, and on your turn, your thing will phase back in.
But this card is weird.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
And just be aware that they won't phase back in immediately for the phasing of Zhalfir because they wait until the next upkeep. Some things give you a phases out until this time, but that's not what the phasing of Zhalfir does. So, and phasing it pretends it doesn't exist. It's still on the battlefield, so it doesn't trigger leaving or entering things, but anything that doesn't specifically mention, it hides. It puts hands over its eyes and goes,
I'm not here.
yeah, I'm not here. Don't interact with me. Just we're gonna wait until I come back.
It's the kid hiding behind the curtain where you can see their feet and hide and seek.
Exactly. You're like, and if something specifically mentions phased out permanents, the 7 cards ever that do, then it'll interact with the phased out card. But otherwise, nothing will.
Speaking of read ahead, we've got our
read
new
ahead
mechanics.
the next thing is I want to talk about new mechanics. Read ahead is very cool. It makes sagas into modal spells. So
that's a neat way to look at it. Think about it.
So Yosha Declares War is red and 1 for a saga with read ahead. It says choose a chapter and start with that many lore counters. And then the normal saga, add 1 after your draw step. Skipped chapters don't trigger, sacrifice after 3. I don't know why they did it in that order. They should have said skip chapters don't trigger and then add an additional counter after your draw step. It just I think that this reminder text is kind of backwards. So chapter 1 is create a 0/2 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying named Ornithopter. Chapter 2 is tap any number of untapped artifacts you control. When you do, Yosha Declares War deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker. And chapter 3 is up to 1 target artifact you control becomes a creature with base power and toughness 4/4 until end of turn.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So what read ahead does is it lets you pick which chapter you start on for the saga. So you can pick 1, you can pick 2, you can pick 3. You start with that many counters. You do not get the previous chapters. You go directly to the chapter that you're starting on for read ahead sagas. So if you pick chapter 2, it enters the battlefield, it shoots a thing in the face, right?
Yeah.
And so it lets you make some choices with these sagas that you can just jump to, destroying all creatures, for instance, with one of the sagas that has destroy all creatures as its third chapter. It behaves a little oddly if you have anything else that increases the number of counters that your saga enters with. You technically pick the number of counters it enters with, and then that thing will impact it. So Doubling Season says things enter with twice as many counters. If you pick chapter 1, then this enters with 2 counters because Doubling Season doubles it, which means you start on chapter 2.
Weird.
Very strange.
This is like also what happened with hardened scales.
Yeah, but hardened scales doesn't randomly punish you for picking the wrong number.
Okay.
Or
sure.
boring
I see.
Yeah, because like if you pick 2 and Doubling Season the battlefield, you put 4 counters on it and you're past chapter 3. So chapter 3 doesn't trigger.
It's just gone.
And then your saga goes away. Don't play Doubling Season with read-ahead sagas is what I'm telling you. Just don't do this.
So weird.
Very strange.
And remember, everybody, put a little reminder counter on top of your deck if you're playing with sagas, even though it happens after your draw step.
Yeah, but you'll remember. You'll be like, oh, there's a die here.
Yeah.
Pick up my card, do my saga. If you're playing physically, your opponents will almost always just like, yeah, whatever, do your saga thing. But with particularly with a lot of these sagas in the set, they interact with the board. So like, oh, I forgot to do this. It's the middle of combat. Can I kill your blocker now?
Use
no, wait until next turn.
Yeah,
just to remind yourself. Enlist is one of the other new ones I want to talk about. Enlist is cool. It is kind of fake banding. So it is like the worst part of banding. So Coalition Skynet here is white and 3 for a 2/2 human knight with flying and enlist. And Enlist's reminder text says, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn.
This seems like probably the best Enlist creature because it's flying.
Yep. The rare one is like randomly indestructible and also scries you. It seems fine.
Well,
like whenever you enlist with it, you scry 2.
Nice.
But so it's really good. I picked Coalition Skynet because this is like the best case scenario for Enlist.
Yeah.
Which is this is really similar to Exert if you played during Amonkhet. You make a choice during Declare Attackers to tap the creature. They can't respond to that because it's part of you declaring attackers. Then after you do that, it puts a trigger on the stack to give a power bonus to the attacking creature. And so you pay your cost or not pay your cost. You do your thing during attacking. It puts this trigger on the stack. If the thing has a when this attacks trigger, so Keldon Flame Sage has a when this attacks trigger, you get to choose the order in which those happen because enlisting happens during Declare Attackers. With Keldon Flame Sage, you probably want the Keldon Flame Sage's do some shenanigans at the top of your library trigger to go on the bottom and enlist to go on the top because its shenanigans are based on its power.
Nice.
Your opponent can respond to this trigger. The amount of power bonus that you get from enlist isn't locked in until your trigger resolves. So they can -X your creature in order to drive down the power. If your power of your creature you're enlisting with is less than 0, you get +0. You don't get a penalty.
That would be funny.
It used to behave the other way. It's a change from a couple of years ago.
The snake from Amonkhet.
Which snake?
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna eventually remember it, and you're all gonna be like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
There was the 2/1 snake that when it entered the battlefield, you drew cards equal to its power. If you did that, you discarded 2 cards because then you could eternalize it.
Oh,
so
Champion of
Wits.
Champion of Wits. Yeah.
And then if you were like, "Yes, I'll draw the cards," and they like -X it, then you draw no cards and you discard 2 cards.
Yep.
Wild.
That was a similar thing.
About.
Fabricator of Blades was the one I was thinking of from Kaladesh. Because Fabricator of Blades it gives you +X based on its power when it attacks.
There's something I want to call out about Enlist to everybody, that when you are playing with this mechanic,
Cultivator of Blades.
Okay.
Yeah.
make sure that you make it clear to your opponent if you're playing in real life that you are attacking with this creature and this creature is enlisting because it does not look clear on the board.
No, it's an invisible bonus that's happening. It has to be a creature that could have attacked this turn, basically. And it can't be one that's attacking alongside of it. So if you have a creature with vigilance, it can't both attack and enlist at the same time.
And you can't use a creature to enlist that has summoning sickness.
Correct. So it's could have attacked is basically how the game wants you to think about it.
I can't slap down my 7/7 worm and be like, tap to enlist it so my Sky Knight gets in for 9.
There are some random haste creatures in the set that might punish your opponent, though.
Yeah.
So enlisting is basically just, like I said,
they're
like
too tired once they join the army to do it right away.
Yep.
They need a week off.
And the reason that I called out Radha as the domain creature above is Radha becomes tapped.
Yes.
And so she'll trigger. She's really good to enlist with.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. Stun counters, because apparently the theme of this set is tapping things. So stall for time here is white and 2 for an instant, kicker of blue and 1, tap up to 2 target creatures. If this spell was kicked, put a stun counter on each of those creatures. And the reminder text is, if a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove 1 from it instead. So remove a stun counter from it instead. And then you draw a card from stall for time.
This card seems good.
This card seems great, yeah. So these are kind of like shield counters, right? They are counters that do a special thing that isn't a keyword. Removing abilities from the creatures doesn't matter. The counter is just an inherent property of a counter named stun that it prevents untapping. And it says it would become untapped. And that's for any reason, not just on tap step. So if you have something that says untap target creature, it just clears a stun counter off of it instead of untapping it.
Interesting.
If you are paying a cost like Halo Fountains that has tap an untapped creature you control as part of, or untap a tapped creature you control as part of the cost, you can pay that and it removes a stun counter instead of untapping it as the payment. So Halo Fountain interacts in strange and interesting ways with stun counters.
Let me ask you what's happening in this art, Rob. This looks like a giant.
Really good question for everybody.
It looks like a Phyrexian that they're just like they're just freezing, right?
Yeah, they're putting it in an ice gear.
Yeah,
it's a Cyclops skull man water beast
trapped in an ice gear.
Yep. Or maybe that's just a representation of a clock, like psychically. Like clocks and gears go together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Something else new in this set.
This Phyrexian is being trapped in the psychic representation of a clock.
Yeah. You do realize that that's like the plot of Urza's Destiny, right?
You do realize that's me every time I hit snooze in the morning.
Yeah.
Trapped in a psychic representation of a clock.
And that's not a joke. If you read time streams, that's kind of literally what happens.
Amazing. Perfect.
So Power Stone
tokens.
This is on 1 card in the normal set and then 1 card in the commander set. Karn Living Legacy is the card that you'll see out of normal boosters. He's a 4-mana legendary planeswalker Karn. Enters with 4 loyalty, +1 to create a tapped Power Stone token. And reminder text, it says it's an artifact with tap, add 1 colorless mana. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. And then he's got 2 other abilities, -1 to pay any amount of mana, look at that many cards from the top of your library, then put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And -7 for you get an emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, Rob, from that +1, tap to add colorless. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. Why doesn't it say this mana can only be used to cast artifact spells?
Because you can use it to pay for activated abilities.
Oh.
So any random activated ability you can pay for with a Power Stone token.
So like Karn's -1, you can tap a Power Stone token.
Okay.
This is how it lines
Pretty
up.
all right.
It's something that isn't a non-artifact spell. You can't use it to cast Karn because he's not an artifact spell, but you could use it to pay for his activated ability or the activated abilities thing. The other thing with the activated ability is the amount of mana you spend isn't locked in until the ability resolves. So if your opponent wants to try to counter it, I don't know, there might be a rare in the set that counters activated abilities. You don't have to pay any mana if they counter the activated ability.
Okay.
So
a lot of people really slamming on Karn, saying this card is a hot trash fire.
But
I kind of like him.
It's comparable to Karn Sign of Urza, right?
Interesting.
Like neither of them are Pioneer playables. What I'm saying.
Okay, well then who cares?
All right, yeah. We all agree.
The Defilers. This is a cycle of really cool creatures that bring Phyrexian mana back. Phyrexian mana for the masses. Everybody gets Phyrexian mana now.
Fun.
So Defiler of Vigor is green 3 for a 6/6 creature Phyrexian worm with trample. As an additional cost to cast green permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost green less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of green mana you pay. Whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Woof.
Okay, I feel like, can I just say something? Sure. I feel like there's a better way to say that. Like you can spend Phyrexian mana instead of green on your spells. Maybe that doesn't work. But
you only want to replace
rules.
one symbol, right? So this only lets you. So Defiler of Vigor, it makes a single green symbol into a Phyrexian
so you can't
symbol.
Yes. It's saying you can do it one time.
One time per Defiler of Vigor. So if you have 2 Defiler of Vigors out, it would make your third Defiler of Vigor cost just 3 mana and 4 life.
Oh, well, all right.
So each one,
I mean, at that point, my life is pretty good no matter what, I think.
Yeah. And this is any permanent spell, which is not immediately apparent. I thought it was just going to be creatures when I first read these cards, but it's any permanent. So you can use it to reduce the cost on Ajani, as mentioned. And so you can pay for artifacts or enchantments or planeswalkers with 1 mana less and 2 life instead.
Nice.
It kind of makes all of your random artifacts into birthing pods, which is neat.
Wow, I would not have played this card correctly at the pre-release, right? Rob. I'm just letting you know that.
These are all incredible.
I would have thought I could do it twice. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now I know.
You pay 2 life, and that spells cost 1 less to cast if you paid life this way.
Okay.
It's engineered into the way the spellcasting system worked. I looked at it, I said, oh yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, this is a change to payment of costs. Okay, cool. And you're like, but I want to change these symbols out. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really work that way.
Here I am. Don't worry, Wizard of the Coast. Cleaning up your messes since 2012.
I mean, the other thing is you don't, would you expect to be able to play Gigantosaur for 10 life?
I think that'd be fun.
It would be really fun.
Yes.
But that seems like it would be a problem.
On a personal level, yes.
Yeah. On a
rules level, I guess
And also,
not.
would you want your opponents to cast Gigantosaurs for 10 life?
Fine.
No, I don't.
Now I understand why this was bad. Thanks, Dad.
Also, Phyrexian mana is one of the most broken mechanics in history.
Yeah, for real is.
Like, this, you have to pay mana to get to it. Like, this is the correct thing, is it gates it behind you having to pay a 5 mana spell first, right?
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to move on to individual card notes.
Yeah, individual cards.
That might trip you up.
Yep. So let's look at Artillery Blast here. White and 1 for an instant. On his domain, Artillery Blast deals X damage to target tapped creature, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. Mm-hmm. So it shoots any tapped creature, probably an attacker. It's an instant. The number for domain on this card is figured out during the resolution of Artillery Blast. So if your opponent has a way to bounce one of your lands or change a land type of one of your lands, it's possible for them to decrease its number. So you can get hit during resolution. There's random bounce spells in the set. I don't remember if any of them hit lands.
Yeah.
But speaking of changing land types, Pixie Illusionist. Single blue for a fairy wizard, 1/1. Kicker of green and 3. Flying. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it.
Nice.
Tap. Target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn.
Huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it lets you turn on domain, filter colors. The thing is that it becomes that type. So there's the new tapped dual, the new tapped common duels, right? Mm-hmm. That are both basic land types. If you target that with Pixie Illusionist, you wipe out one of the land types, or maybe both of the land types. If you have a swamp forest and you target with Pixie Illusionist and you say island, it's neither a swamp or a forest. It becomes an island.
It's only island.
Oh.
Yep. And so you can randomly change your domain in the middle of other things.
Ooh,
that's tricksy.
It's very weird. It's probably bad. Domain is almost always good to have a higher number, but Pixie Illusionist can like scale down your domain very randomly at very strange times.
Yeah.
Or scale it up. You'll usually use Pixie Illusionist to like add a bonus domain, but I mean, there's 9,000 IQ plays that you could make sometimes. Cleaving Skyrider. White and 2 for a 2/2 human warrior with flash and kicker red and 2. Flying. When Cleaving Skyrider enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of attacking creatures. And just like with above, X is calculated during resolution. So they can kill your attackers in order to scale down your X.
Yeah.
Which probably will happen a lot more than
That's a cool card. I haven't
cost.
seen a card that's like that.
Also,
you
can do it based on their attackers, right? If they attack with like 3 things and you flash this in, it's like
exactly,
ping 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
You shoot 3 attackers and you block something else.
Nice.
Block your
it's 6
pixie.
mana. Yeah.
Boom. Eat it. I win.
Yeah. The one thing to note with Kicker, if you're playing with Kicker over the weekend at the pre-release, you are going to get tricked. Cleaving Skywriter is a 2/2 flash for 3. No. You'll be psychically tricked. You'll like be strategically tricked. You'll say, I want to get the max value out of this. I want to spend 6 mana because this is a removal spell. But sometimes you just need a 2/2 flyer for 3.
Yeah.
And so think about the fact that this has 2 modes that you can pick.
Sure.
So this is not a 6 mana spell. Don't think of it as a 6 mana spell.
So you're saying this is also a split card?
Yes, this is also a split card. Yes.
Oh God.
So this is a thing that has gotten me forever. I want the most value, right? I want this to kill an attacker. So I'm going to hold on to it. But sometimes you just need to play a 2/2 for 3 on 3.
Great point.
Right?
Yep.
Cut Down. Cut Down is an instant for single black. Destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less.
Read the card.
Yes. This is great. It's very good. But note that it checks that 5 or less, so that total power and toughness is you sum the power and toughness. A 2/3, okay, you can target it. A 3/3, no. Mm-hmm. It also checks during casting and resolution. So if they play a buff spell on their creature, they'll counter your Cut Down. Well, they won't counter it, but they'll prevent it from resolving. Fire's Victory. Red and 1 for an instant with kicker of blue and 2. If this spell was kicked, draw a card. Fire's Victory deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your hand.
Instant speed discard.
Instant speed discard. That'll get you, but that's not my consideration. My consideration is that this spell is phrased really weirdly. It should just be broken out into 2 lines because it always deals damage. Kicked or not.
Yeah.
This always is a burn spell. And
yeah.
But it's all on 1 line, so it looks like if it was kicked, draw a card and deal damage. So you're like, why does this spell exist? Right? Why isn't it just 5 mana?
Yeah, you can just cast it for 1 in a red, and it's like deal damage.
Yeah, it's just 2 mana, usually about like 4 damage a lot of the time, right? Like that's pretty good. It kills a thing.
You're just like playing, if you're not in red blue, if you're in red green or whatever, you still probably could get some. You'd probably play this.
I would play this in most of my limited decks that have just red. Or like our red, green, white decks or whatever. It's fine. And that's the other thing with Kicker is almost all the Kicker in the set is I think maybe all the Kicker in the set is cross-color Kicker. Be aware that sometimes you just play your 2/2 flyer for 3 in your red green deck, and you don't care about the red Kicker. You're like, whatever. Yeah. Founding the Third Path. Blue and 1 for a saga. It has read ahead, and Chapter 1 is you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand without paying its mana cost. Chapter 2 is target player mills 4 cards. And Chapter 3 is exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, copy it, and you may cast the copy. So for those of us that play Modern, this is exactly mana value 1 or 2 on the first section. It's not mana value 0. So you can't cast Crashing Footfalls with this card.
Gotcha.
Sickos.
On Chapter 3, you pay for the copy. You know what? It doesn't say cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Mm-hmm. So you have to pay for whatever you get, which is fine. Like you probably get this on your draw after your draw step, after you're untapped. You were going to pay for the card. It's fine. But it also, for Crashing Footfalls, you can't pay for it because it has a null mana cost. So this never gets Crashing Footfalls or any of the similar 15 cards.
So this is just a PSA for anyone out there who is thinking about Crashing Footfalls.
Yeah, if you're thinking about brewing in Modern, and you're like, I'm a genius. No. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Again.
Yeah. Inscribed Tablet. It's a 1 mana artifact. 1 and tap and sacrifice it. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put a land card from among them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, draw a card. The first time I read this, I thought that I could always opt to draw cards, but you can't. You reveal the top 5 cards of your library. So they're shown to your opponent, and you are instructed to put a land card from your hand, or from those 5 into your hand. So
do you have to?
Yeah, if there's a land there, you have to put it in your hand. But if there's no lands, you get a card. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's
like
nice.
This is just great, basically all the time. Even if you missing gets you a card, which darn, it gives you a 6th chance at a land if that's what you needed.
Too. Yeah.
But you do have to choose a land if you reveal one. And they also get to see what awesome things you passed up to put on the bottom of your library.
Yeah, make them quake with fear by putting your best cards on the bottom of the library. You got them.
That is definitely a choice that I have made. Like, wait, did you discard a 5/5 for 4?
Hot tips.
What is your hand? Protect the Negotiators. It's an instant for blue and 1 with kicker of white. If this spell was kicked, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And then counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each creature you control. You do things in order. So this makes a soldier and then makes them pay based on your creatures. So you get to count that soldier immediately. They don't get to respond in the middle either because it's all during the resolution of the spell. So if they think they're going to be smart and kill your soldier token, they don't get the chance to because it's all right in order. Even if you have no other creatures, this is guaranteed to make them pay 1 mana.
Nice.
Or else their spell's countered.
All right.
So it's perfectly reasonable, I think, a lot of the time to just play this card.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, Slimefoot. Yeah, he's back.
He's back.
Slimefoot Survey.
Is Slimefoot reprinted in this set?
No.
Okay.
They just have a lot of cards referring to members of the Weatherlight crew.
I'll just look at Slimefoot and pretend that Slimefoot's in the set.
I mean, he is in this card.
Look at him.
Right?
He's looking. Oh, what a cutie.
He has a spyglass. Does he have eyes? He's a fungus.
Well,
he has eye stalks. All the funguses have eye stalks.
Okay, fair.
He's looking from the ship Weatherlight.
Spooky.
He's looking. Don't you think?
Yeah, he's surveying the world. He's trying to figure out what's going on in Dominaria. He's like, did Zelfir return?
Was Slimefoot on the Weatherlight when it was completed?
We hope not.
I hope not, Slimy.
I also hope not, but he might be. We might get Slimefoot completed.
No.
So green and 4 for sorcery. Domain. Search your library for up to 2 land cards that each have a basic land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Then look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this says search your library for lands that have a basic land type. This is different from basic land cards. Basic land cards are the ones that have the word basic on them. Things with a basic land type are things that have plains, swamp, forest, mountain, or island on them.
So you could have an island swamp.
Yes, you could search for 2 duels with this and put them onto the battlefield tapped. They were going to enter tapped anyways. Almost all the time when you cast the spell, it's going to be domain for 5 as far as I can tell. Because you're going to find your off-color dual land and then you'll look at 5 cards and put a spell back on top of your library. So but be aware that you can fetch your non-basics with basic types on them. Tatiova, Steward of Tides.
She's back.
She is back.
Yay.
And she costs blue, green for a 3/3 legendary creature Merfolk Druid. She says land creatures you control have flying. So if something is both a land and a creature, it has flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land.
Wow.
So she'll give that creature flying. That land creature, because it's still a land.
Ramp.
Good job, Tatiova.
Note that she has no duration on that effect.
Yeah, it just is.
So she permanently bumps your land up into being a 3/3, but it only has flying while she's in the battlefield. So they can kill her, and then all of your lands fall to the ground and get blocked.
Megan, which Tatiova do you want? This one or the old one?
The old one.
Yeah, the old one says draw card.
Same.
It's a draw card.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Even though this one is faster, like you can play it as a 3/3 for 3.
Nah.
Yeah, I agree. Anointed Peacekeeper. It's white and 2 for a creature human cleric. It's a 3/3. It has vigilance. As Anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So you can name anything. You can name any card at all. And generally in a tournament setting, you'll only be allowed to name stuff that's in the current format or whatever format you're playing in.
Slippery Boggle.
Yep, you can name Slippery Boggle. You don't have to see it. You look at their hand and you're like, all those cards suck. I'm just going to name Boseiju. Because you can do that. You can name lands, and mana ability means an ability that adds mana, not an ability that costs mana. So this would make Boseiju cost 4. The channel abilities in those lands, though, do get reduced by the number of legends. So if they have 3 legends, they'll still Boseiju you for 1. Because the activated ability costs 2 more to activate, and then it gets reduced by the legendary effect on the channel abilities. It's weird. But you can name them, which does make it harder for your opponent to be able to get you with Otawara, the Soaring City, or Boseiju.
Sure.
Notably.
Yeah. Or Iganjo.
Or Iganjo. Yeah, getting got by Iganjo is a thing that's happened to me on multiple occasions.
Iganjo.
Yeah. Many occasions I've been got by
It
Iganjo.
happens to us all.
Urtai Resurrected. Black, blue 2 for a legendary creature, Phyrexian human wizard.
Urtai.
Yeah, they brought him back from the dead because they wanted the snarkiest wizard of all time. He's a 3/2, by the way. He has Flash, and when Urtai Resurrected enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller draws a card. Or destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Its controller draws a card.
Wow.
Dang, Urtai.
Yeah. So the thing with him is he can counter anybody's triggered abilities. So if you have a triggered ability you don't want, you can Urtai your own triggered ability to get a card out of it.
Oh, all right. That's what I'm doing.
Notably for like the packs in Modern. You can Urtai your own packs so that you don't have to pay for them and you get to draw a card.
Negation, I counter your thing, and who cares?
And draw a card.
If you are Plague and Pioneer or Modern, Yorion is the scourge of everyone's lives.
Well, always has been.
You can counter the return trigger from Yorion. So they exile all their stuff, and then you counter the return trigger and stays gone.
Rob.
You can have a card. Do you know what? You can draw 1 card.
Yeah, you can have a card. That's your consolation prize.
There you go.
I'm taking that Urtai on a second date after I learned that about him.
He counters a lot of things. It's not usual to be able to interact with all types of stuff the way that Urtai does. I've heard people say he's not very good because he gives them cards, and I'm like, I don't care. Right?
If I counter a Yorion trigger and they exile everything they've ever had, I'm having the best day of my life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things like that exist out there in the universe, right? That you're just like, yeah, no,
Party
decline.
on.
Have a card.
Yep.
That's good. A random card, better than whatever that was, right? So be aware. This one is a rant. Do we have time for me to rant?
I just want to hear you pronounce this card.
Oh, King Darian. King Darian, the 58th, right? Or 40th? He's the 48th. Sorry, I can't count. King Darian, the 48th.
I just wanted to know because I didn't know the Roman numerals of this card.
Well, he's X less than L, and L is 5, so it's 40.
No, L's not.
It's 50. L is 50.
50.
Yeah, sorry. X is 50. So it's X less than L plus 8, right?
So wait, no.
10 less than 50 is 40.
Why is it minus?
Because the X is before the L.
Oh.
It's just like IV is 4, right? So because
sure.
the smaller, if the smaller is before the larger, then it's subtracted from it.
Wow, that's never come up in my life before.
You've never had to do multi-digit Roman numerals, and you are better for it. It's terrible. Like, so it's King Darian,
that's
the 48th.
Why the Roman Empire fell, everybody. Think about it.
Have you tried to do long division with Roman numerals?
You know what? I haven't, but I trust that it seems
I don't
terrible.
suggest it. Just don't. Friends don't let friends do long division with Roman numerals. So white, green 1. Darian is a legendary creature, human soldier. He's a 2/3. He says other creatures you control get +1/+1. And for white, green 3, put a +1/+1 counter on King Darian and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Sacrifice King Darian. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
This card's really good.
This card is really good.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why is he not a noble?
You know, how many nobles are there in Magic?
The type line.
There's a noble in this set.
The type line would be too long.
No, he shouldn't be a soldier. They should get rid of
because he's
soldier.
a king.
Yeah, there's tons of kings and tons of nobles.
Oh, there's lots of nobles.
Yeah,
in
they
Magic.
put noble on a ton of cards. When
Wow.
Eldraine came out, they added noble, and they went back and they eroded King Suleiman. King Suleiman's a noble now. He's from.
Hear me out. Identity-wise, King Darian just sees himself more as a soldier than as a noble.
Sure, but that's the case with a bunch of these idiots from the past of Magic, right?
I mean, yeah.
Like, king, if you put king on a card, they're a king, which means they should be a noble. Squee is in this set. Squee is a noble.
I don't know what to tell you.
Wow, there's a lot of nobles who, quite frankly, don't deserve it.
Right.
Except for Squirrel Sovereign. That's a squirrel noble, and that squirrel deserves it.
That's the right choice. That's a perfect choice. Squirrel Sovereign, upgraded from advisor to noble, right? Like, great.
Wow, there's some, I mean, honestly, I was looking at Queen of Ice. Do you remember this card from
randomly
Throne of Eldraine?
Yeah, that's Throne of Eldraine. That's why they added noble. They wanted a throwaway type that didn't connect with anything. They were like, this is a person without a job, that their job is being a duke or whatever, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So they wanted a type that didn't do anything. And they're like, well, we want him to interact with soldiers. And I'm like, I don't care.
Just wants to be fighting on the fields. Like, I'm not a king. I'm a dude who fights.
Yeah, but there's like 30 of those in the history of Magic.
Yeah.
I get it.
I also think that Zara Aaron should be a noble, but that's
We'll
different.
start the campaign.
She's an assassin. And that's fine. She got a job. She trained herself to do something. Okay, cool. You lost the nobility type.
Need to get a job.
Yeah. I own land and live off an inheritance.
Mm-hmm. I have bugbears about type lines, so like I understand that this is a thing that like me and 4 other people in the world care about. It's fine. Nemeda, Primeval Warden. She's returned. Green black 2 for a 3/4 legendary creature Treefolk. She has reach. And if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Green and sacrifice a Saproling. Nemeda Primeval Warden gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Black 1 and sacrifice 2 Saprolings. Draw a card.
Nice.
This is a replacement effect, so it prevents dice triggers on their stuff. But then it generates a triggered ability as a reflexive trigger. So they could like respond to the trigger and counter it with Urtai so you don't get a token. And it gives them the chance to actually interact with that, unlike Cutest, who doesn't give them the chance to interact with it. You just randomly get tokens in the middle of their spells. It's really annoying.
Do you remember back in the day when we argued about Cutest or Kalitas? It felt like every other day we were arguing about that.
And then you just randomly change and you'd be like, no, I feel like it's Kalitas today.
Cutest. I think I'm a Cutest.
I think I always said Kalitas.
Yeah.
Very fancy sounding.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He should be a noble. Rada Drabik of Urborg.
What a name.
Yeah, this is a great name.
Rada
Drabik of Urborg. Black white 2.
Not a drawback.
Yeah, this doesn't have a drawback. Legendary creature Zombie Wizard has Vigilance and Ward 2. And it says other zombies you control have Vigilance because that's a thing that's happened before. It's very weird. I think that's new. Yeah. And whenever another legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. This is super neat. Your legendary creatures come back from the dead as just random idiots, right?
Yeah,
with their
zombies.
They basically have their text boxes, but a different power and toughness. This is great. It lets you have, and this is on if you copy them, the copy isn't legendary either. So you can clone your tokens or you can use Asika's Chariot to make non-legendary token copies of your other legendary things. It's very cool. It behaves in a very, very odd way if you have a planeswalker that is a creature that dies. So like Grandmaster of Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like Sarkhan becomes a dragon.
Yeah, either the Sarkhans that animate or a Gideon that animates.
Sure.
There's a bunch of these animating. There's actually there's a recent one that animates that just turns into a creature for somehow that I don't remember. But this behaves very strangely, though, those planeswalkers. They are legendary. They are creatures. They die. This trigger happens, and it puts a token copy out that makes it a creature in addition to its other types. Wait, it doesn't make it a creature. It's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other types. But it doesn't say it's a 2/2 black zombie creature. So it comes back as just a planeswalker.
Wow.
So
if your alive planeswalker dies,
yes,
it comes back as a planeswalker.
Yes, and then if it animates, it depends on which effect is animating it based on the timestamp of that to determine whether or not it's a zombie or a planeswalker. It's weird. But yeah, I thought I misread this the first time. I thought this was making planeswalkers that were also creatures at the same time without other prevention effects, and I was like, this is very bad. No, this is much better than I thought it was.
Well, that's good.
It's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. If you animate it, it would still end up being a zombie. It's still end up being, it's still going to be black no matter what. It's always going to be black. Animating it adds attack zombie onto the
planeswalker zombie.
It'd probably be a legendary creature, planeswalker, zombie. If it's a Gideon, it's usually a soldier, except for one of the Gideons.
Sure.
Sarkhan adds dragon, so it becomes a dragon, but
More
sometimes
like a noble,
it makes itself a dragon. I like deal with this on a case by case basis.
I'll just not deal with it. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's went from very bad until I reread it into very cool. Speaking of planeswalkers, Urza assembles the Titans. White 3 for a saga with read ahead. The first chapter is Scry 4, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a planeswalker card is revealed this way, put it in your hand. It's chapter 2 is you may put a planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. And chapter 3 is you may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice this turn rather than only once. So the first couple are straightforward. The third chapter is weird because you could do stuff with this, right? It goes to chapter 3. You have the chapter 3 trigger on the stack. You like bounce it with something that lets you bounce it and you play it again. Yeah. And then you read ahead and go directly to chapter 3. How many times do you think you could activate your planeswalkers this turn?
So only twice, right? Because it says you may activate them twice.
Exactly. It changes 1 to 2. It does not say an additional time.
Gotcha.
Yep.
It's not like taking extra turns.
Yeah, it is not taking extra turns. Your planeswalkers become twice as good, but not 3 times as good. And not 4 times as good either, which is the other way multiplication works.
Nice.
Rith, Liberated Primeval. White, green, red 2 for a legendary creature dragon. Rith is a 5/5 with flying and ward 2.
Seems good.
Yeah. Other dragons you control have ward 2 as well. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. So we don't talk about excess damage that much. Excess damage is if damage is dealt to that above the number of loyalty counters on it or the amount of toughness that creature has. Mm-hmm. So if it's a 2/2 creature and you lightning strike it, it has taken 1 excess damage. It's kind of how trample works, except that this works very strangely with trample. Because trample doesn't like take excess damage into account. Trample changes the rules for damage assignment. If you have a 2/2 creature and I attack with a 3/3 with trample and you block with your 2/2, I can assign 2 to your creature and then 1 to the player.
Yeah.
And so that creature will die and it will not have taken excess damage. Because
with trample.
Yes.
Can I choose to assign all 3
you
to
may
it?
elect to assign the damage down onto the creature instead of going up to the face.
I will say that on Arena, you need to set this manually in the
Yeah, you need to be in like full
settings,
control mode or something, right?
You can choose, I believe, through a menu item to make sure when you have excess damage to don't auto assign it.
Yeah, don't auto assign.
So that is a thing. I mean, don't do this unless you.
If you cast Rith, go into your settings really quick and change this. Yeah. But it's just unusual enough that it's not apparent. I was at an RCQ recently where I attacked with like a 4/4 trampler and my opponent blocked a 3 1/1s, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna put the 1/1 that has a dice trigger in the back, and I'm gonna assign 2 to the first one and 1 to the second, or 2 to each of your other 2 creatures, and not gonna kill your other creature. He's like, wait, you can do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just assigned more to the things in front, and I don't even get to trample over on you. He's like, oh, so I don't get my trigger? I'm like, nope. He's like, we should call a judge. I'm like, absolutely. I would love to call a judge. like you look very confused. I'm in.
Bring him on over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything wrong. Nothing was bad about it. He's like, oh, I didn't realize this is the way it worked.
I mean, nobody does.
Yeah, nobody does. Sphinx of Clear Skies. Blue 3 for a creature Sphinx. It's a 5/5 flying ward 2. Just everything is a ward 2 flyer now. Domain. Whenever Sphinx of Clear Skies deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard.
Perfection.
It's perfectly fair.
What more
they
do
divide
you need to
and
do?
you choose.
Yes.
It's fact or fiction every turn.
Exactly.
And I really just
what's wrong with it? Yeah. Who could be mad about this?
No,
because they get a hand in the process.
Yeah. They can put all the cards in 1 pile, and you could choose the empty pile.
And I could choose the empty pile.
Before.
You could.
I've literally had somebody fact or fiction me and say 5 instants. You can have like 5/0, and I'm like, I choose the 0.
Great.
To be very fair, that was a very weird standard.
Yeah. In this instance, I pick the pile with 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the self-control to ever pick the pile that doesn't have the cards in it.
Have you ever been blood oathed?
Okay.
Blood Oath would 15 you and you would die.
Well, whatever. Maybe it's worth it, Rob. Maybe some things are worth it.
It really is.
Sometimes death is the path we choose.
Yes, you have to choose between winning the game or drawing 5 cards.
Draw 5.
Draw 5. Draw 5.
Yes.
I'll win it later.
Yep. So Weatherlight Completed. It's a 2-mana legendary artifact vehicle. It has 5 power and 5 toughness if you get it to animate. It has flying and no crew cost.
Yeah, we talked about
as
this
long
earlier.
as Weatherlight Completed has 4 or more Pheresis counters on it. It's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a Pheresis counter on Weatherlight Completed. Then draw a card if it has 7 or more Pheresis counters on it. If it doesn't, scry 1. So
what a big baddie.
Yeah, it's no crew cost, and the last ability is a word maze. Whenever a creature you control dies, check. Do we have we're going to put a Pheresis counter on this. If it has 7 or more, we're good, and you get to draw a card. If it doesn't have 7 or more, scry 1 instead.
Yeah.
My suggestion is if you're playing in paper, pick up the card and look at it after you put the counter on it, and then let your then double check how many counters it has on it.
All right.
Because you're going to get to look at that card no matter what, right? It's safe to look at it. You're going to scry it or you're going to draw it. And then you just double check your brain, because if you're super excited about looking at the card and you're like, this needs to be in my hand, and you're like, oh, but I only have 5 counters on this thing. You're still safe.
So go ahead and get excited about that card.
Yeah, you'll draw it someday.
Get excited about it.
But it also feels like you want more value from your scries. You always want to scry at bottom.
Yeah, if you scry to the top, it's like you did nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Waste.
So it's like you want the.
You might as well have not scried at all.
Exactly. Exactly.
Y'all make great points.
Zur, Eternal Schemer, also makes great points. Black, blue, white for a legendary creature, human wizard. He's a 1/4 flying. Enchantment creatures you control have death touch, lifelink, and hexproof.
Great.
White and 1. Target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and toughness, each equal to its mana value.
Non-aura, get out of here. What's with this aura hatred?
Well, no. You want it to have aura hatred because white and 1, animating an aura makes it fall off because it turns into a creature. That's also an aura.
Yeah, that's true.
So you don't want it. He cares for you.
Look,
he doesn't want you to accidentally
Rob,
kill your auras.
Let me make that decision.
He's making sure your boggles don't lose their hats.
Right, exactly. He says if your hat turns into a creature, it falls off you and then dies. You don't want your hats to die.
No, I don't.
What he does do, though, is very interesting with creatures that are also enchantments. We have, 20 of those in standard right now.
Ooh.
Right? Because Kamigawa had a lot of enchantment creatures.
Yes.
And so he actually sets the base power and toughness and overrides whatever they have for their base power and toughness. So the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, the B-side of the Kiki-Jiki enchantment, is a 3 mana value enchantment creature, but it's a 2/2. So he can point at it and then make the reflection into a 3/3.
Nice.
This might change up or down on any random thing. You have to actually look at the cards, but he just behaves strangely with enchantments that are already creatures.
Have you all listened to the B-side of Kiki-Jiki? It's way better than the single they've been playing on the radio.
Yeah,
yes,
you know what? I really think
is.
so. The whole album is great.
Also true. It says
Front
draw
to
2
back.
cards.
I love Mirror
True.
Breaker.
True.
Wow, that's it, Rob.
That's what I got.
Yay, Dominaria.
I have some other weird notes at the top of this, which are why is the line creature Phyrexian horse in this set?
I love it.
It's a Phyrexian horse,
It's a
Rob.
Phyrexian horse.
How
What
else
do you
gonna
want to call it? Yeah.
I was a little I'm like, why is this a horse? I don't have a problem with it being a Phyrexian. It eats things. Is this normal for horses?
Do you know what?
I don't know. I've never owned a
pile of
horse.
hay, Rob?
It eats creatures.
If you're a pile of hay, then you would understand.
I'm not. You're
not a
Phyrexian
pile
I'm
of
not
hay.
a pile of hay.
Well.
Right? It creates soldiers,
I'm
which
really
makes
glad
sense.
that you have enough self-confidence to know that you're not a pile of hay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There's also 27 reprints in this set,
Wow.
which is a very large number for a non-core set.
Yeah.
I asked you what is normal.
And the number is 4.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's very tiny.
Dominaria United is essentially kind of the replacement core set of this year.
Isn't
Remember,
that
because
Baldur's
it
Gate?
was because Baldur's Gate was a Commander Legends set. It's not
Yeah.
a standard set. So
Yeah,
and this
that's
was
true.
supposed to be earlier. Remember?
Yeah,
Dominaria United got pushed, and so it is kind of a core set in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of a core set, and also a lot of the times, like your random vanilla-ish things in a set will be, you know, like Strixhaven Owl Friend or whatever, and it'd be your Windrake will be, you'll be named after whatever the place is because they want you to feel like it's from there. Well, but we spent 15 years on Dominaria, right, in the early days of Magic. And so they're like, well, we could just go back and mine some of these old Dominaria cards. Do you want Gaia's Might? We have Gaia's Might. We don't need another pump spell, right? It's the pump spell that this set wants anyways, and we don't need to rename it as, Strixhaven's Might or Kaladesh's Might or whatever. So they're just like, yeah, great. We're going to reuse all these cards from back in the day. And so you end up with a bunch of just like really interesting reprints, some of which are new to Pioneer and some of which I think are new to Modern as well.
And too, we're gonna have the next Dominaria's like remastered set, which is going to be a bunch more reprints from stuff that like is related to or happened on Dominaria over the years.
Yeah, it's all reprints, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's just like a huge reprint dump as well.
Like Bone Splinters gets a reprint in this set, which has new art from Jeremy Wilson, which I think is just gorge.
It is. I love these like philosophical like images, right? This isn't telling you like a physical bone splintering. This is something psychological about having your bone splintered.
This is a skeleton with its head on fire with green fire being swallowed by a green flood. There you go. Psychological horror. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point, Rob. 27 reprints in this set. Little unusual.
Yep.
But I gotta say, this set looks very cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're reprinting the Painlands. Actually, the single thing I'm most excited for is reprinting Allied Color Painlands into Pioneer.
Yeah.
Because Pioneer mana bases in Allied Colors are terrible and have always been terrible.
Liliana the Veil, I mean.
Yeah, Liliana the Veil is very exciting. Yeah. But she's going to go in.
About her very different ages on these cards.
Yeah. It's like young Liliana, old Liliana. What's going on with that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all.
Yep.
Maybe
we'll find out in Storytime with Megan.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Like, I'm
into old Liliana.
Yeah. I'm excited about characters like progressing and aging and being different.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. When I saw this first previewed, I was like, oh, they've made her a teenager again. I don't like that. Like Liliana is existing in the world and she's growing older and like even with her demonic powers, it's not going to last forever.
And then her showcase version is old Liliana,
is her
right?
Old, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or like contemporary, what seems like should be contemporary age.
Right.
For Liliana.
Well, I mean, how old is she's pre-mending, right? She's like 1,000?
Yeah. She's been around a long time.
Yeah, she's been.
It's okay.
Well, that's the other thing with a lot of these Dominaria callbacks is there are a lot of characters that are very old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and they have to call it out. They have to say Squeeze Immortal. Jorah doesn't age. Karn's a robot. Like all these things. Yeah.
Time slowing this thing down. Time.
Yeah, Teferi's the master of time. He got desparked and resparked. We didn't want to remove him as a planeswalker. It was a mistake to ever take it away. Like,
I was unaware he had been desparked.
Oh yeah, that was the Time Spiral story. The Time Spiral story was the mending, right? Was the mending of Dominaria, where the planeswalker there were so many magical disasters that Dominaria was a shredded pit of terribleness, right? With big holes in time and space all over.
Don't talk about my house like that.
Look.
A shredded, terrible pit.
We really have been telling you about this for a while.
This is an intervention.
Use some gentler language is all I'm saying.
No, we can't. It hasn't worked. Hints have not been effective.
So now here we
friends.
are.
Yeah.
A shredded pile of terribleness.
And so they had all these big holes where disasters had happened, and so they had to bring planeswalkers to them and
clean up the cat puke.
Yes,
eventually.
Right. And that's what they did. They came in and had planeswalkers clean up cat puke by sacrificing their sparks. Freyalise died to keep Llanowar alive.
That's
and
nice
and Teferi gave up his spark for, I think, Zhalfir. Or maybe it was Keld.
Was it worth it, Teferi?
Well, he survived.
Around, so
Zhalfir's in this set.
Yeah. The Zhalfirin Void has been restored, right?
What? Zhalfir exists in a little snow globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But there were all these things, and they had to bring a bunch of planeswalkers to them to restore them, and then they'd realized that they had to rewrite the nature of planeswalking, and then they made Nicol Bolas very angry, and so Yeah.
Well, there you go, everybody.
This is the story of Time Spiral in a very short nutshell.
It is time, you all, for Cutest and Grossest cards.
Yes, indeed.
And I gotta say, Phyrexian sets, man, they got a lot of contenders. A lot of contenders for gross cards. Let's talk about aggressive sabotage. Whatever's going on in the background of this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
What is that thing?
It can really just, I don't know what's happening here, but I don't like it.
That is a large ooze. That looks like something that would happen in Dune. Whatever is going on with this guy here.
That's normal Phyrexian. That's just a normal Phyrexian idiot, right?
Sure. But gross. He sure is gross.
He's got a lot of tubes going into his flesh mounds.
Right. Phyrexian Warhorse is pretty bad too.
Next up is Defiler of Flesh. I know I could have picked all of the Phyrexians.
Yeah.
But Phyrexian Rager also gross. Defiler of Flesh though, there's something very spooky going on here. This is less gross and more spooky, but whatever this is, it's a real nightmare.
They were all sewed together into a giant spider person.
Yes, and they're eating a Pegasus.
And they're eating a Pegasus, which gets you on the bad list.
Are they eating that Pegasus, or is that Pegasus also sewed into the giant spider body?
Either way, it's bad news. It's really bad news. It's pretty awful.
Cool art.
Really bad times. Next up, of course, you got to shout out the monstrous war leech.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a giant leech. Get it out of here.
It has human hands.
Exactly. It's bad. It's bad also. It's being piloted by like a crab person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not nice. Not nice stuff. But of course, finally, the most disgusting, writhing necromass. It's a body made of bodies. What else?
That was Defiler of Flesh. This is just that but bigger.
It's true. Do you know what? You're right. Body made of bodies.
What was the one? There was one you chose, not recently. I don't want to use that word,
Hogak?
Hogak is a body made of bodies?
Hogak is a body made of bodies.
Okay, yeah.
Body made of bodies. It's disgusting. I don't know what else to say about it. Absolutely frightening. Really terrible stuff.
Yeah.
F's all around.
F's in the chat.
Bad times.
Rob, calm down. He's trying to show me cue cards. I'm aware of this.
All right, Maria. It's time for you.
All right, let's cleanse our palette with some cute cards, everybody.
Yes, please.
All right, so the first cute card I want to bring up is a runner-up, which is Sunbathing Rootwalla, which I am a fan of Rootwallas on this podcast. You may know. And this one is very cute, and he's sunbathing, which is also a very cute activity. So a cute creature doing a cute thing, sunbathing Rootwalla, you get a runner-up card. Rob also just pointed this one out to me. Dragon Whelp, very cute.
I would have this pet dragon.
Oh, absolutely. This little guy.
He's so happy.
Will light my pilot light on my stove every morning and cook me a nice little toast.
Yep, he's a reprint.
Dragon Whelp reprint from, he's been reprinted a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Because if they want to print a cheap dragon, it's a perfectly balanced cheap dragon.
And this, people might argue with me because maybe they like the original Dragon Whelp, which I think is the first pet you could have on Arena.
That sounds right.
Oh, yeah.
They might say that's cutest, but I think this is the cutest printing of Dragon Whelp.
It's very cute. It's very cute.
Next runner-up is Pilfer, which Rob also pointed out to me. Don't worry, everybody. I know Tiny Bones is back.
Yep.
And he's being very cute, being the smallest bones. Although he is not the smallest bones in this art, that honor goes to a tiny little bone horse.
Yes, there's whatever his tiny bone pet is.
Yeah.
What they gave him a bone companion, a bone familiar,
a bone panion.
Yeah.
And he's also doing a very cute activity, which is pilfering.
Yeah. Yes. It's a heist.
Very cute. Tiny Bones, big fans of you on the show. Keep being tiny. Keep those bones small, Tiny Bones.
Don't ever let your bones grow up. I have a question. Is Tiny Bones a child skeleton?
Now you're making it sad, Rob.
He's his own spooky thing.
Oh, he can't be a child skeleton. He only has one set of teeth.
Oh, great. There you go.
Well, solved.
Just all of his teeth, if he had them, they would have grown out.
Right. Well, no. Have you ever looked at the X-ray of a child's head?
Let's not talk about it.
Please don't do it.
Don't do it.
We don't need to.
They are monsters.
We don't need to get into it.
This one was notified to me on Twitter. So thank you, Twitter follower, for this notification about Hexbane Tortoise, because I think I might have missed it. because Hexbane Tortoise is a cute little turtle which has ward, which is very cute.
Yeah.
And it has its tiny little son sitting on top of its head.
Yes.
It's riding along.
Yeah.
It's bring your turtle son to work day,
Yeah,
right?
it
It's enlisting the other tortoise.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is.
it's enlisting
that's
its
very,
son.
very
and
cute.
Its son is safe.
Very cute.
Almost won, to be fair. Almost won, but it was not quite as cute as the reaction I had when I saw, drumroll please, Phoenix Chick.
Yeah.
What is this?
This chick is so cute. It's bursting out of its little phoenix egg, being fat and cute and plump, and being like, I'm here, ready to come back from the graveyard, attacked and tapping with a +1/+1 counter on me. I'm just a baby. Here I go.
It's very cute. It's very cute.
Friends, get yourself a Phoenix Chick. Am I right?
Yes.
I feel like
Not a
this
side
is
chick.
almost so cute. In the past, you might have called this pandering.
Yeah, I almost did. I almost said,
Yeah.
hey, this is right on the line. And it is on the line, Wizard. So you're on notice, but also this wins.
Yep.
Very, very cute.
Very cute.
And
Yep.
it's also a great
Very
card.
cute.
I love this card
Yeah,
too.
this card's pretty powerful, frankly.
Yeah.
Um.
What a cute baby. I love you, Phoenix Chick.
Mm-hmm.
Call me. It's come time to say thank you to Ultra Pro for being our awesome sponsor.
Thank you so much to Ultra Pro. If you're really enjoying this Dominaria United art, which how could you not be?
Yeah.
We just crowned Cutest and Grossest cards of the set. Perhaps they will be some of the illustrious art that's available from Ultra Pro on playmats, on deck boxes, on sleeves.
And if you're somebody that doesn't have the sleeves you need from Ultra Pro, we recorded a little video about just that kind of problem, which we're going to show to you right now. You're on the air with Wooburg Radio. Our next caller is missing his sleeves. Tell me, what was so special about your sleeves?
Well, they were for my commander deck, but I lost them.
Hey, if anybody out there has sleeves, my dad needs them. He hasn't had sleeves in years. The DJ called him Sleeveless in Seattle. I think I'm gonna write to him.
But Annie, you don't even know what kinds of strategies he plays.
Dad, you're getting letters from everywhere. Look at this one.
Dear Sleeveless, I'm
so
sorry about your deck,
but I think it could be destiny. I have more Ultra Pro Eclipse sleeves than one person could possibly use, but I needed them in every color.
Put that away.
But Dad, I have a good feeling about this one.
if you want to give this a try, meet me at the top of the Wizards of the Coast headquarters at midnight on Dominaria United release day.
I guess she didn't show.
Wait, I forgot my deck box. I must have just missed him.
I think that's mine.
And what about these?
It's you! The Ultra Pro Eclipse sleeves I've been looking for.
Sleeveless in Seattle. See it anywhere fine movies are shown in your town.
Absolutely. And thank you to Ultra Pro for being a wonderful sponsor. Remember to use the code GLHF in order to get 5% off of your Ultra Pro
save yourself some
order.
money. Yeah, and those sleeves that you're going to get that person who you've never met, never heard. Well, you've heard. You've never
heard.
talked to them.
Yeah.
You've never seen them.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, you might as well pay 5%
You might
less.
as well get 5% off. If you're taking a chance and meeting someone on top of the Wizards of the Coast headquarters, get 5% off.
Well, everybody, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes, and thank you once again, as always, to Judge Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Just so helpful,
A treasure.
so wonderful, so knowledgeable. What an amazing asset to the Good Luck High Five community.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Rob. Thank your great beard for being here as well.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who makes this show happen, coming out of your cat's mouth
Yes.
over on patreon.com/GLHF Magic.
Thank you to Bennett and to Paul.
Yes, Bennett and Paul, our supporters.
Yes.
If you want to shout out, become a patron, or increase your pledge before episode 502, and you'll get one on the show.
Get your shout out.
Next episode, we're going to be talking all about our first impressions of Dominaria United.
So get excited.
I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about Limited specifically, especially since later this month, the qualifier plans are Dominaria United sealed.
Yes, and next month's Arena Open is also sealed.
Yeah.
So, get out your notepad. Get ready.
We're going to get you up to speed. If you want to know what not to play in your pre-release this weekend, our video top 10 worst rares and mythic rares for sealed is coming out this Wednesday. So that's tomorrow.
Hot.
So check that out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/goodluckhighfive. We're just giving you a whole bunch of stuff this week.
So much. Take it. Take it all.
It's all free, but if you want to support it, you sure can. We would love to have you help us as we help you, hopefully. We're never guiding you in the wrong direction. That's never happened.
No, we, like a train, only go the right way.
That's right. One way, and it's the right way.
It's the right way.